I know as a judge I'm not supposed to show emotion, but in 22 years I never have. This is one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. It is therefore ordered that you shall be put to death. I have to keep God. Please, I love you. Applause. This is 19-year-old Krista Pike, seen here in a Tennessee court. Pike is facing charges for murder. Pike's madness started in January 1995, when she lured 19 Jihar Colleen's cell out of her dormitory and into the woods. Pike was jealous of Ethel Moore and erroneously thought that she wanted to steal her boyfriend. For this, Pike corroborated with her boyfriend, 17-year-old Tataril Ship, and her friend, 18-year-old Shadala Peterson. Together, she and her boyfriend assaulted and tortured Ethel Moore, while Peterson acted as a lookout. Not satisfied with the assault, Pike took an asphalt and hit SLR until she stopped breathing. An autopsy confirmed she was slashed repeatedly with a meat cleaver and some other small cutting device, perhaps a razor blade or box opener. Authorities say she was then beaten over the head with a large chunk of asphalt from this pile. She and a boyfriend then took turns carving a pentagram across her chest. She had a massive circle with a star, upside down star, called pentagram in. If you don't know what pentagram upside down star, in a circle, and it represents the goat head of Satan. At first I thought they just scared the first one to jump, but everything changed. There was a patron that come on a chance who did that. How do you tell my boys it was a tax? She then took a piece of her skull as a trophy. She had a piece of the skull wrapped up in a napkin in her coat pocket. That's a trophy to show that that piece she had fit exactly as a piece of puzzle in the skull. The group then went back to their dormitory, but the next day her body was found and police swarmed the area. Following investigations, the teenagers were arrested. With everyone panicking about the murder in the pentagram on the police had to address the media. It did not involve a university student. It did not occur on the bike trail. It was not a random or a stranger to stranger incident. The motive of the crime appears to be love triangle. It appears that both of the females involved had been involved with the 17-year-old male, but it wasn't a love triangle. S.L. Moore was not interested in Pike's boyfriend. According to reports, Pike was just jealous. She readily admitted to luring SLMUR out to deal with her. I wanted to get her off campus, and I had every intention of fighting her. She revealed more grisly details of the crime. Down there, 'cause she made me so mad, and she was just going to leave, so I said, shut up. I want to talk to you. I want you to talk to me. I said, I just want to get out of this. You know, it's harder to hurt somebody when they're talking to you and you have to see another person. And I told her, shut up. And she was still waiting. I said, Colleen, do you know who's going to see you? And she was just talking like that, but I don't know what she was saying during her trial. The defense pointed out that she had a rough and abusive childhood, and that must have influenced her actions. But Pike herself noted that she knew what she was doing. I knew exactly what I was doing. Everything that I did that night, I knew what I was doing, and I think I was taking things out on her that had happened to me years ago. In the end, Pike was found guilty on all counts and handed the death penalty. It is, therefore, ordered that you shall be put to death by electrocution, prescribed by law, that you shall be transferred to custody of the warden at the Tennessee prison. And further, on the 12th day of January, 1997, your body shall be subjected to shock by a sufficient current of electricity. God have mercy on you. She couldn't stop her tears after she left the court. Mr. Kim, I please hold my mom before I go. Mr. B, please hold me to the doctor. Please, Holdy, I love you. Pike's boyfriend, the man she supposedly went through all this for, was sentenced to a life sentence with the possibility of parole. After 25 years, Peterson was handed a 6-year probation. Pike is still on death row. Krista Pike has tried on 3 separate occasions, on both state and federal levels, to get off a death row. But they've all failed. That's not stopping her and her legal team from giving it another try. Colleen's family says more than 25 years later, they're still looking for closure, just when you thought you'd seen it all. Another convict surpasses Krista Pike's wild behavior, and to 23-year-old Pedro Espinoza, who's in a California court on murder charges, he needs the biggest punishment they can get. It's the death penalty. And from that day on, he can rot in hell, thank you. In March 2008, James Charles was fatally shot by Pedro Espinoza, a member of the 18th Street gang. When we go kill you, we're gonna send a couple of guys down there, really make a mess of you. The execution style is a really beautiful way to do it, because that sends out a message. The shooting occurred after Espinoza saw Shaw walking home, carrying a red bag, and mistakenly assumed he was a rival gang member. To make matters worse, Espinoza was only just released from prison. In an emotional interview, Shaw's father recounted the tragic events that led to his son's death. He was on the phone talking to his girlfriend as walking down the street, and she heard the guy walked up to him and they asked him, "What set you from? Like what gang you from?" He didn't answer, and they shot him. He's not a gangbanger. He doesn't gangbang, he don't. None of that. Espinoza was subsequently arrested. In court, his cousin Javier testified about his activities. When you talked to the police, did you tell them, in fact, that Pedro talked to you that night? March I, about a football player that was killed. He's shown on the news. No, sire. In fact, did you tell the detectives that Pedro told you that night that he didn't? I did say that, sir. But I didn't. For a reason, but you did say that. I did say that, but not literally because of you thing. No, I said it because they were playing me. They're playing me. Talking about it, that I killed a person, that I was involved with it, and that I was going to phase like 20 plus years in the fence. In the state penitentiary. Who told you that for real? Didn't you actually say to the detective that he told me he did it? I saw him on TV. Didn't he make that statement? I did. I did. I did see it on TV before everything started. I heard about it even. I heard about it even before, before the police even came to my house. So I already knew what had happened to that student. The prosecution asked pointed questions about his previous statement to the police. Didn't you tell the police that told you I killed a Twinkie that night when you were watching it on the news? I did tell the police, but I've never told them. I've never told them I seen it on TV. I never. That was all lie. That was just like what I made up. Did you say during that same interview that he did it with a gun? That was the same thing I said. Specifically, he just told me he killed him. Didn't you say that? I did say that. After weeks of debates, Espinoza was found guilty before sentencing. Shaw's uncle and nephew spoke to him. In the days when I was growing up, it was basically, you use your fist. You don't just go and kill somebody's cold blood. It's the coward's way out. Shaw's parents also took the stand. The mother, a U.S. Army sergeant, made it clear that she couldn't forgive Espinoza's actions. Primera, find myself. I'm not that strong of a Christian because I can't turn around and say, I forgive you for killing my son. You should thank God if you have your family intact and your kids and you're loving them and you're doing things. Thank God for that, because there's people like that don't give a damn. Espinoza was promptly handed a death sentence. It is the judgment and sentence of this court that for the crime of murder in the first degree are committed under the special circumstance that the defendant intentionally killed Jamil Shaw. 2. The defendant, Pedro Espinoza, shall be put to death within the walls of the California State Prison at San Quinton in the matter prescribed by law. upon a date to be fixed by this court in a warrant of execution, at which time and place you shall then put to death Pedro Espinosa in a manner prescribed by law. The gang member is still awaiting his execution. However shocking Pedro Espinosa's actions were, it doesn't compare to the actions of 29-year-old Marlon Joseph, who's facing charges for double murders in Florida. Son, I love you. You know I love you, but can you please just turn yourself in? You have to do this. In December 2017, Colada Groel and her 11-year-old daughter, Kira Ringgold, were fatally shot by Marlon Joseph after tensions had risen between Kyra and Joseph's daughter. It all began with a text message on the day of the murders. Joseph's daughter informed him about an incident with Kyra. When Joseph arrived, a heated argument broke out between him and Kyra's mother, and he shot her. 11-year-old Kyra tried to escape, but Joseph chased her down and shot her multiple times. He went into hiding for days before finally being apprehended. The police find Joseph, apprehend him, and take him into custody. During sentencing, the judge spoke about the sheer terror 11-year-old Kyra must have felt. She had witnessed her mother being shot and knew the killer was coming after her next. Joseph was sentenced to death following the jury's recommendation. Carla Lurice Joseph, you have not only forfeited your right to live among us, but under this law of the state of Florida, you have forfeited your right to live at all. Accordingly, it is hereby ordered and a judge ask to count 1 for the first-degree murder of Colonel Marlon Luce. Joseph shall be delivered into the custody of the Florida Department of Corrections at the Florida State Prison. You shall be confined there until a date certain, selected by the governor of the state of Florida. And on that date, you shall be executed in a method provided by Florida law. Marlon Reese, Joseph, may God have mercy on your soul. This court is now released. Joseph showed no signs of remorse for what he had done, and now waits on death row for his execution. But Marlon Joseph isn't alone in his crazy actions. However, it's nothing compared to the explosive actions of Michael Bargo, who's facing murder charges in Florida. 15-year-old Isbaten then shots have his body burned to get rid of any evidence. In 2011, Fargo and 4 of his friends lured 15-year-old Seth Jackson to a house in Summerfield. The group assaulted and battered Jackson. When he tried to escape, they dragged him back and continued their assault. A 15-year-old child knew he was being dragged back into a house and was going to die. Eventually, Bargo shot him multiple times at point-blank range, said he hit him over the back of the head with a 2x4, and then they lifted him up, put him in a recliner, and then started basically talking trash to him. And then he said when he was tired of it, he pulled out a gun, just shot him 3 times. The group then burned the body and disposed of the bones in a water-filled quarry. Fargo and 4 others beat and shot Jackson to death 8 years ago. The group burned his body and disposed of it in paint buckets, which were dumped into a water-filled quarry. In court, Bargo denies any involvement despite multiple testimonies, labeling him as the mastermind behind the murder. You really hurt your knee chasing Seth when he escaped out of the house, didn't you? No. Hell, absolutely not. Okay. Were you the one on the porch yelling? Hit Imten. I wasn't there when that happened, so at some point on this walk, you told him, "Hey, I'm not helping you do this anymore. My knee hurts. I'm going to stop. Right. No. No. You just keep going. Ooh. Yeah, I mean, what do you want me to tell you? That you stopped. You called the police. She didn't assist them. You didn't do any of those things. No, I carried a cinder block to the fence. They climbed over with it because you told them to. You testified on direct. You told them to throw the buckets over the cliff down the rock wall. They're going to do it. That'd be the way to do it. So, you were helping them out. You were taking cause advice if you were going to be with them. Then, after you dispose of Seth's body after it's dumped in the quarry, you go to Publix, hit some beer, and you start drinking. Yeah, it was pretty stressful. All right, Kristen, you go to her house before you go to Stark. I did. You say you told her somebody got shot with a gun. Somebody got shot with my gun. With my gun. Okay. And your girlfriend of 1.5 years. Kristen misunderstood. You thought you said, I shot a kid. Said somebody got shot with my gun. Right. But that's not what she says. I never told her I shot somebody. Okay, that's what I'm saying. She misunderstood what you said, yeah. Okay. Your girlfriend of 1.5 years mistook that. The prosecution brought Bargo's friends to testify to his involvement in the crime. Himself shot him in the yard. In the yard, multiple times. He had drove him back in the house, placed him in the bathtub, and had beat him some more, and shot him twice in the face. He said that they had placed it in a sleeping bag and built a fire. Can I have a moment, please? But the defense claims that he was mentally sick during the crime. He was not taking any medication for any of the mental illnesses that he had been diagnosed with. Fortunately, their claim did not move the jury. We, the jury, unanimously find that defendant, Michael Shane Vargo Jr., should be sentenced to death. Yes. In the end, he was handed the death penalty, and his group were all sentenced to life. But this wasn't the only time a teenager committed an atrocious crime. Take, for example, the case of Austin Myers, who was in an Ohio court for murder. They just killed one of my old friends in front of me, and he had a gun in his pocket, and I didn't know after hearing him trying to sell me out, make me like I did everything. How would I know about the safe? How would I know about the money? Why would I kill someone cold blood? And they told me about it. In January 2014, Myers and his friend Timothy Mosley planned to rob the Back family. But when they saw that their friend Justin Back was around, they fatally stabbed him with Mosley, delivering the fatal injury. Myers is one of 2 men who strangled and stabbed 18-year-old Justin Back last January. The 2 friends had been planning the robbery for days and had even bought a steel cable the previous day to eliminate anyone who would tamper with their plans. We have the video recordings where he's going and purchasing the murder weapon. You'd be hard-dressed to find a case where there was more prior calculation than what you had in this particular case. When their friends were interrogated, Myers denied everything and put the blame on Mosley, despite masterminding the whole plot. Tell me what happened from Monday night on what transpired that led up to this. So, we went back on Tuesday. And what was your intent when you went back to the house? Do the same thing I said before. You think you're going just to hang out? You didn't have any other intent of taking anything. No, I didn't have any intent of taking anything. You never asked him why this suddenly happened. I didn't want to try to talk about it because he just killed one of my old friends in front of me, and he had a gun in his pocket, and I didn't. Know what a big idea, but made it look like a runaway or something. We had ended up wrapping him up in a blanket, putting him in the trunk. I have to put him behind a tree with the blanket on. They shot him twice. Mosley overheard his statements and got annoyed. He promptly told the detectives what they wanted: to know and took a plea deal that involved testifying against Myers. After hearing him trying to sell me out, make me like I did everything. How would I know about the safe? How would I know about the money? Why would I kill someone in cold blood? And he told me about it. What did he tell you in a while? He told me about Justin's house and his step. So he has a safe. He keeps it cracked open, and he has a gun and a lot of money. How much money did you think was going to be there? Austin said, a good couple thousand. So we were thinking, quick job in and out. Boom, must make some money. And then we came up with a plan of taking out Justin because in the way, so he's the brains of the guy. Pretty much I was following. You're the muscle. Never felt like you hit bone or micro tough. It just in and out. Really? I had enough time. Y primera está Behim. Whose idea was the septic enzymes Austinized? We'd pull it on the body in order to decompose of the body fasting. The plan was choke him out. Couldn't clean no blood. Right. I got him like right on the chin. Okay. So I start to freak out. I'm just like, shit, this isn't going to plan. I don't know. It was too late to underscore take it back, right? So, not know what else to do. I pulled out my knife because it was right in my pocket. I had my cargo shorts on and I saw stabbing him in the back. When Myers noticed that his plans were not working, he confessed. He says, you're the one that pulled the trigger on the gun. And he's already dead. I mean, so all I want to know is I want to know the truth. He says you shot him. And are you very convincing? Did you shoot the gun or did he in court? Myers addressed the jury before they left to deliberate. Can only imagine the pain and loss felt by Mark and Sandy Cates and by Jacob Beck, Justin's brother. I have brothers and sisters myself. I can only imagine what it would be like to lose one of them. I'm sorry that this happened. Now, I know that doesn't bring Justin back, but I'm sorry. Wish I could go back in time and stop this before it even happened, but I can't. I hate for any family to go through such pain and suffering as this. To lose your son, I can't imagine. To lose your brother. If you choose for me to die, it's only going to cause more pain and suffering for another family, not me. It won't hurt me. Well, I won't feel anything. It's going to hurt more innocent people. If you will kill me, it won't fix anything. It won't bring Justin back. It's only going to hurt more innocent people. I don't want to hurt people. I'm not asking you to spare my life so I can hurt anyone. I want to help people. Stop tragedies like this from happening. All I'm asking you for is a chance for me to become a better person before Myers could be sentenced. Justin Batch's mother told him how his actions affected her and the whole family. Austin could have stopped it, but tells Justin, it's okay. It's almost over. You could have changed your mind many times, but he didn't. Especially when Justin was begging for his life. Justin's father also spoke directly to Myers. I'm not going to stand up here and tell you how much I hate you. That is without question. I would just hope that every time you close your eyes at night, you see ma? Just my son, Justin. Before the judge could announce his sentence, Myers begged for his life. No, I've made a horrible mistake. I'm only 19 years old. I think there's a lot of good things I can do with my life if you allow me to keep my life. In the end, Myers couldn't escape his punishment. The defendant does not understand how precious life is. We therefore, unanimously, find the sentence of death be imposed upon Austin Myers. While Myers awaits execution, Mosley was sentenced to life imprisonment. However, Austin Myers wasn't the first teenager to do something incredibly